Welcome back to the For the Win podcast, the number one Xbox podcast ever in the world. I know there's other Xbox podcasts out there, but you don't want to listen to those. You want to listen to us. We got a lot to talk about. We were actually going to do an internal episode today, but so much was happening with Xbox as we kept texting this week. We just more and more Xbox news was dropping. So a couple things. One, Xbox 360 games, Xbox 360. Okay, we're not talking about Xbox One, current gen, Series X. Xbox 360 games. Yes, the old console. Those games are going through the roof right now in price. We're going to talk about that and why that is and what the heck is going on. And also, Xbox official have set up a games preservation team. We're going to get into that, what that means for game preservation, what that means for us as Xbox gamers. And then last but not least, Halo was advertised this week on the official Xbox social media channels, and people noticed some interesting things about the advertisement. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then the last half of this episode, we're going to get into some internal issues, talk about what's going on with us, the future of the podcast, where we're at, how we're feeling, and all that good stuff. So let's get straight into it, because John brought this to my attention. I don't know if you knew about this, Henry, but he sent this to us like, I don't know, a couple days ago. And it's a video by, what's his name? What's the guy's name, John?
Pete Dorr.
Pete Dorr. He dropped a video like 6 months ago, no? Something like that, a while ago, talking about and predicting that, hey, Xbox 360 games are going to go up in price. And sure enough, Microsoft has recently announced that the Xbox 360 marketplace, the game store, which opened 18 years ago, 2005, will officially shut down this year on July 29th, 2024. So that means no more purchasable games, DLC, any like videos, movies, TV shows, all of that. Anything that was in your library there won't be viewable after that date. Who wants to go first to talk about this? This is pretty crazy because we say it every time because we're freaking old. We lived through the whole 360 era. We got 360s when they first came out, and now we're here 18 years later. I hate it. We're here 18 years later.
Years later, dude.
Thanks, Henry. Appreciate that. 19 years later, and now the 360 stores marketplace is shutting down, and 360 games are going up in price. They're the new NES game. What are your thoughts, Henry?
I mean, it makes sense. Like, from a collecting standpoint, I had a pretty big game collection, and I was very into like retro collecting for most of my life now. So, over 25 years or so. But I would tell people the best time to buy games for if you want to build a game collection is to start collecting for a console that's one generation behind. And you want to do that like after the new console's out, because then everyone's clearancing everything. And it's always a wave, and it's been that way over and over. And so I'm not surprised. There's definitely a coincidence. I don't know if coincidence is the word I want to use. Like,
correlation.
Between the prices of them rising, as with it being 20 years ago almost. So now it's definitely becoming retro, and at the same time the store closing. So you pair those together, and it definitely just leads to a huge spike, and it's inevitable.
Yeah, it's weird that like in my brain, like NES is still 20 years ago. Like that's how the 80s just seem like 20 years ago. doesn't seem like, no, that's the year 2000 was like 24 years ago. But yeah, no, we're seeing just kind of this wild trend of 360 games that you would think would be $3 to $10 in a bin at GameStop, now selling for $20, $30, $40. And some of the rarer games, I expect to see prices increase on some of the like JRPGs and things like that. That might have had lower print runs, the Lost Odysseys, the Eternal Sonatas, that kind of stuff. But we're also seeing like F1 2013 and 2014 selling for, upwards of 80, 90, $100. Blitz the League 2 selling for over $100 on eBay, complete in box. So yeah, and even just like you would think like the cheaper $10 games you would find, they're all getting 20, 25, 30. So stuff's just like doubling in price. I haven't been into a GameStop in a long time, so I don't even know if they are stocking 360 games or selling used 360 games anymore.
I was in GameStop 2 days ago, and I looked
what's
around.
The current status?
The current status, so it's all online, right? So they have a ton of stock online still, but at the store, brick and mortar, right up by the cash, there's 2 cash registers, and there was just one like triple row of 360, Wii U, and PS, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 games. And they were just there. It was probably, so those 3 consoles, and it was probably like under 50 games just in like 3 rows all together. And I was like, is this all your 360 games and stuff? He's like, oh, we got more online, and then he tried to sell me a GameStop points card and all that crap. But yeah, there's like nothing. You're right. I mean, there's just nothing. You're not gonna get there. So there's probably like 15 total 360 games at that location.
There used to just be bins. Bins. Fast forward from today, 18 years into the future. I mean, there won't even. I mean, let's say like 10 years into the future, the next console's launched, everything. There's not going to be a single physical copy to sell. There's not going to be any used games. What's the percentage of games sold today that are digital copies? Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, they're just going to have to sell Funko Pops and to get by, I guess. But
I mean, that's basically all GameStop is now. Like, no, like when I last time I was in there,
wall to wall, baby.
I walked in and I literally went in there not because I wanted video games. I went in there to see if they had like a specific action figure I was looking for. Like, I went to Target for it and they didn't have it. I was like, maybe GameStop does it. It's like in the same parking lot. So like I didn't even go there for video games because that's not what they do anymore. Basically, they had a single like row of Switch games, and then like one of those like triple shelf things on the wall for like 2 of those for like PS4 or PS4, PS5, and then another set of them for Xbox. And that was it. Everything else was figures and t-shirts. Everything else. There's zero exaggeration. There's a decent amount of Tiger Electronic re-releases for some reason. They had a nice little end cap. I don't know why. So that's what it says.
That's so crazy.
One other thing to consider when looking at the state of 360 games is, not every 360 game is backwards compatible. So I'm just kind of going through really quick. And Need for Speed Most Wanted, one of the most expensive 360 games right now, not backwards compatible. Blitz the League 2, not backwards compatible. F1 games, not backwards compatible. So I think that is also a reality. You know, they're not being sold on the digital stores anymore. Their 360 stores shutting down, so you can't buy them digitally if they were available digitally. And then, you know, not having them backwards compatible is a big issue. And I think we see, I'm not sure what the qualifications are for a game to be backwards compatible. I just know that most of the sports games, most of this games with like a lot of licensed music, a lot of, you know, that kind of stuff usually isn't going to be backwards compatible.
I'm pretty sure like license reasons are the number one reason for anything not being backwards compatible. I don't think it's a software bit necessarily, because they could have easily had just a normal 360 emulator running on a current platform, you know. But like they already do, but just have it one that's, you know, that's going to run on everything. Right.
Yeah, because the other reason stuff I'm seeing isn't backwards compatible is because you know, an Xbox One version of the game was released, and so
yeah.
But yeah, I'm just scrolling through the list right now. Ton of it is just like licensed games, movie games, sports games, that kind of stuff, or online only games that don't exist anymore.
I think I might be getting into PC gaming in the next 5 years. Because once all those 360 games are gone forever, I'm going to want to figure out how to play them. I'm, of course, referring to the ones that I've purchased and have discs of. Obviously. That goes without saying. But I'm going to have to probably get a PC and figure out, you know, like there's some games I'm just going to want to play. And if I can't play the games that I already bought, is there a good 360 emulator right now?
No.
I wouldn't think so. But do you think, Henry, this will speed up, like within the next, you know, decade, we're going to see this speed up now that we are like really moving forward into this new era of next gen gaming?
Yeah, I could definitely see. I could definitely see that.
I want someone to drop like a X-Play emulator that just does every Xbox title or every original Xbox title and every 360 title. Just you got the disc, you can play the game, you know? That would be dream come true, honestly.
I mean, there's if you still got a 360, there's definitely ways to play your completely legally backed up discs off of a hard drive.
Right.
There are soft mods available that you can do to allow you to play your legal backups.
Right.
So not all is lost. The hard part about that is the fact that every 360 is essentially a time bomb before, you know, you need to do some surgery on it. So
yeah. That's gonna be really interesting to see how that all plays out, and simultaneously, and not, I don't think it's coincidentally, Xbox also announced that they're putting together they call it a preservation team, just before their next generation of hardware. And I'll just read the statement real quick and then get your guys' thoughts. But the Xbox president, Sarah Bond, came out and kind of shared some thoughts around what this is and why they're doing this. And she basically said we're moving full speed ahead on our next generation hardware, focused on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation. So right there, that's big news, because we're going to get a new Xbox console that's supposed to be a big leap forward. But then she goes on to say, we have formed a new team dedicated to game preservation, important to all of us at Xbox and the industry itself. We are building on our strong history of delivering backwards compatibility to our players, and we remain committed to bringing forward the amazing library of Xbox games to future generations of players to enjoy. What do you guys think about that statement? Do you like it? Do you believe it? What do you think that means for the next generation?
You know, what does it mean is definitely the question. You know, it is a little vague in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'd like to see some kind of plan.
Yeah.
Let's elaborate a little bit on that. I think at its core, what it means is that the next console will be able to play Xbox 360. It'll be able to play all games that you can currently play on a Series console. So, I like that, but as I've expressed in the past, like, I also wouldn't mind just a clean cut. I feel like I haven't really even bought a Series X exclusive game. Part of the reason is Game Pass, but I would much rather have like a clean cut and just be like, this is only on an Xbox Next console. You can't get it anywhere else. This is the definitive way to play it.
Yeah.
It's the only way to play it. And I just feel like this Xbox One and the Series generation was just too blended and muddled together, especially after the Xbox One X came out and it was, high powered and all of that. And that's when kind of backwards compatibility like really kicked off and all of that. But it's just too blended, and I don't know if I'm playing a true next gen game or not, So I'd like to see just like a little bit cleaner cut.
Yeah, I would have no problem with my Series X being my Xbox, like, everything machine, and letting it play, Series X, Xbox One, Xbox 360, Xbox Original. That would be great. I wouldn't mind that at all if the next one was like, yeah, this is if you want to play serious business only, because I do feel, we've beat this dead horse. I do feel like this generation has been like, I paid a couple $100 extra for a cool looking Halo console and fast menus and load times. I haven't gotten that Gears of War moment where I'm like, dude, look at these graphics. This is crazy, It hasn't happened yet. I think it can happen, and I think that's what they're hoping for, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But
Hellblade 2 is looking pretty close to that. If you've seen any screenshots or videos from that, it's looking pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
it's like, I feel like it's an industry wide issue, right? When we just think about like how the games are developed, and like we just haven't had what feels like a next generation jump, and we haven't had it since around the mid 2000s. That was like a huge jump, and then going from the 360 to the Xbox One generation, of course, it felt like an upgrade, but not the biggest upgrade. It wasn't as critical as going from Xbox to Xbox 360, right? So then that was just diminishing returns on next generation. That's every single on across the entire industry once we start looking at that. And so I don't know what it's going to take to like really feel like, is it, I don't know if it's graphic fidelity that would make that feel that substantial anymore, you know?
Because what is it, Henry? Is it a developer problem or is it a hardware problem?
It's kind of just, I feel like it's just a combination of a lot of things, right? Because if we're talking from just a graphical standpoint, we had those big leaps, and then we got stuff that looked pretty realistic. So then you're at that point, once we pass the threshold of where something looked realistic enough, then it just becomes kind of fine tuning. I guess it's how I can, my opinion on how I'm looking at it, right? Because I don't know the answer to your question. But I feel like that's just what it is. It's our mind can only be blown by how real something looks once when it actually looks real, you know. So is it going to be graphical fidelity that makes me go, wow, this is next gen? Is that even possible anymore for that to be that eureka moment, or is it going to have to be something else?
Well, think about this. Remember that video that was going around of that GoPro game that was a shooter? It looked super realistic.
Yeah.
And people are like, that's almost too realistic. Like, I don't like it, or it'll give me PTSD, or whatever the case may be. That's the closest thing I can think of like what a next gen could be, where people are like, whoa, like that caught a lot of traction, a ton of attention. And is that going to be where this goes? Maybe. I don't know. But I do think there is a new level. I still think, there is a new level.
And so, I will. Yeah, that's a perfect point. The body cam game, I forget its name.
Yeah, cam game.
It's like, when what makes that look so crazy, because it looks hyper real, and it is still more realistic. That it is that big step, but like our question of it is like, what kind of machine do you need to get that kind of, that graphical fidelity right now? Because that's craziness. And so I feel it will feel next gen if the hardware and developing tools can allow developers that create something that looks that real very easily as anyone's doing right now with current tools. That'll be the next gen moment. Will we utilize that level of realism? Maybe not. But when the capability is actually at that level, to that's kind of the bare minimum you could do. Anything else is at that point just an artistic choice, So that would be, I guess, what it is for me. Now that you mentioned the body cam game.
Yeah, because if you look at 360, right, we had our Gears of War, but then we also had our Marble Blast Ultras, and our Yaris 3D Dorito Blast, Dorito Launcher, Hunter, or whatever. Games. Whatever. We had you had all of it on the whole breadth of the console, right? So, it'll be very interesting to see when that happens. And I'm kind of, but we haven't seen it on PC either. That's the thing. It'd be one thing if like people's custom cracked PCs were running all these different games and I know there's definitely levels and people play on the highest settings and all this stuff, but not like mind blowing where everyone's like, holy crap, got to get this game, got to get a PC, got to get the best hardware in it so that I can play this thing. I just think it's a matter of time, honestly, and I'm excited to see what Xbox decides, like what they decide to do with it. It'd be very, very interesting, for sure. For sure. Did you have anything on that, John?
I was just gonna say, when it comes to graphical fidelity, what kind of sells me on on games and impresses me in games is really just like how good the animations are. And then just like, I guess, interactivity with the world, and like just the small details of things. So, I think one of the early games that ever just completely blew me away graphically was Half-Life 2 when that came out. And it wasn't just that, the graphics were good and like realistic, but like the animations were crazy, and the way that you could just interact with the world. And if you shot something happened to it, or you hit something would so like the animations and then the way they interact, like the physics of the game, that stuff always just like, if we can get back to creating a world like a Half-Life 2 where you can NPC knocks over the can and tells you to pick it up and have those kinds of moments and things, or you hit something with a crowbar and it actually reacts. I feel like we've gotten so kind of far away from like any kind of destructible environment. Like I was playing Battlefield Bad Company 2 and it had better destructibility than any multiplayer shooter that I'm playing these days. Like you could just bring down an entire building just by shooting at it and kill everybody inside, and it was awesome and it was amazing. And like, there's none of like next to none of that outside of the Battlefield series, and even that series has gotten away from the glory days of like the Battlefield 3 and Bad Company and stuff like that. So definitely I feel like we've taken a step back as far as interactivity with the world, animations, destructibility, that kind of stuff. So if we could elevate that and get back to even early 360, late 360 games, like that would be awesome. So
have you seen the body cam game, John, that Dave and I were talking about?
Did he hear you? Did it drop?
Sorry, I froze. It said, have you seen what?
Have you seen the body cam game that David and I were talking about?
Yeah, I saw it.
I just rewatched a clip from it. Yeah, that's gonna be crazy when anybody can run that.
Is it a VR game or is it just like keyboard and mouse?
That's keyboard and mouse. I wonder if like that'd be crazy in VR. That would really.
Oh yeah, your mind. Here's the thing: your mind can't tell the difference, man.
Right,
like, your mind will think it's
even in VR when it looks like. When it still looks cartoony and fake, your brain's like, "No, we're there, man."
Yeah, for sure.
And so like playing body cam in VR will cause PTSD.
Yeah,
full stop,
100%.
Unless you just tell yourself it's like airsoft or something. I guess if you're using, I don't know, but like,
yeah, that's crazy to think about.
And that's on Unreal 5, right? That's like I said,
I think what sells this body cam game quite a bit is just the lighting too. Like lighting just goes such a long way to making things look realistic.
Yeah. And they just play into the body cam look, from the lens distortion to just everything. It looks just perfect. It's not like it's real, man. It's real. But I think you make a really good point, John, about like just the creativity of games and the depth, right? And I think the industry has gotten away from a lot of that depth. I think Baldur's Gate 3 was the last game that I personally played that had a lot of depth to it. It wasn't just 1,000 feet wide. It was, it's like 10,000 feet deep. And that makes the player experience so much better. And Half-Life 2 is the same way, where it's like you're having all these moments where you're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy that this is in the game that this is even possible. And if we can, in the next generation, not just have a graphical leap, but also a gameplay, it's not even a leap forward, just almost a leap back to how games used to be in that creativity and, you know, that passion. There could be, you know, some of the best games ever in the future, but it has to come from that place of, you know, all those old developers and companies that made those games because they loved them, they're passionate about it, and wanted to make the freaking coolest game ever. Like, that's it. It can't be these cash grab, money grubbing things that have no heart and soul. You know, the heart and soul and the graphics are there. I think we have a shot.
Yeah, we need studios like Larian to stay independent and not sell out to the corporations, if at all possible.
If at all possible. Who are the people who made Tony Hawk 1 and 2?
Neversoft?
Oh, yeah.
1+2, sorry. Who did 1+2?
It was like something
wasn't it?
Creations, I thought. I forgot the name.
Yeah. They like had, I feel like they had some of that DNA where they were passionate about Tony Hawk and
Vicarious
and it
Visions.
came through like in Vicarious Visions, and it came through like in the game they made, you know? It's like this game is like this was a love letter to Tony Hawk fans, and we all felt that, and we love, like, I will always speak highly of that game, and it was like the best thing coming. Like, it made COVID worth it, man. Like, it was the best thing ever.
It was a highlight during that time, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We need a renaissance.
Speaking of like independence, I just looked it up. I didn't realize this earlier. The Bodycam game is by 2 students. That's it.
Wow.
Dang.
Like, it's just 2 students, and that when we hear this is gonna make, let me find my words. It's only 30 gigs the game, and we're constantly seeing like these giant ass patches on games that for their 4K textures, but it's like that game's in 30 gigs, man.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
I know when I was looking at the 360 backwards compatible games, it has, you know, the size of the game on them, and they're all like 6, 7, 6 gigabytes. And I'm like, dude, those were the days. Those were the days. Yeah, it's really sad. You know, Tony Hawk 1 and 2 is the fastest selling game in the series and sold 1 million copies in 2 weeks, and that wasn't enough to save that studio from being absorbed into World of Warcraft and make 3+4, you know. The fastest selling game in the series, and you still just get absorbed and evaporated. It's just insane.
But on that note, Henry, we're on X Twitter together. I retweeted something because they got a little bit active. They're getting a little more active on social media. And you know what that means. I mean, what it kind of means when they start to like reactivate. What happens when a studio shuts down or a game shuts down? The social medias go out. They're not active. It's done. They've started to. I follow 1+2 on X, and they recently tweeted out about like a contest. They've been doing a couple little things here and there, and I'm like, they haven't been extremely active the past few years, obviously, because the game was like down. But they tweeted out some things, and I was like, whoa. That is I like that.
Doing a giveaway? Okay.
Let's see, where is it? Yeah, right here, 329.
Oh, maybe they're just getting active because they are being possibly voted on for the Strong Museum. They're having a video game Hall of Fame, and Tony Hawk is one of the finalists for the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So there's that.
There's that.
I don't know if that's enough to make them come up from the depths because there's no real purpose, except it did fairly recently come out on Steam.
Right.
So when
True.
that happened, maybe they got their PR guy to come back and be like, yeah, we are still active on Steam sales because,
Mhm.
so maybe that's it. They don't want
Yeah.
to launch it on Steam and then completely abandon it again.
Yeah. Who knows? But that would, oh man, that would be red alert, threat level midnight for me the second they talk about any of that. Similar to the Splinter Cell, I know there's been a new Splinter Cell title being worked on just very quietly for a while now. Haven't heard much from them. But Halo, speaking of titles, Halo Infinite, again, here we go, round and round this mountain. But some interesting things happened with Halo, apart from the network update that dropped that at first was well received, but now they used the same anti-cheat that they're using in Master Chief Collection, and apparently it's been pretty abysmal. I have not played because I'm not going to play that game, but I've seen massive amounts of feedback from the community saying this is the worst thing ever. The game's unplayable, and I've seen a ton of videos of like tanks flying around the map and slamming into people, and Spartans flying around multiplayer maps and shooting guys in the air, and it's just the lobbies are in like chaos. So that's fun, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about an advertisement that Microsoft dropped about Halo, and they have been pretty quiet on the advertising front, as you guys know. But recently, I saw it on X. I'm assuming it went out everywhere or a lot of places. They advertised the Xbox Series X, and it's a picture of the Master Chief, like in stride running, and it has the Halo logo, and then it says, "Become humanity's greatest hero with Xbox Series X. Power your dreams." And there's a big picture of an Series X Xbox, and it's like floating in the sky with a controller. And people made a lot of noise about this because, well, Microsoft has been pretty quiet about Halo. And, we saw when they did the multi-million-dollar advertisement on the Sphere, Halo was not something that they advertised. They advertised Starfield on the Sphere, the biggest, probably most expensive one-off advertisement that they've done in a long time. They chose not to highlight Halo as a premier IP. So you guys are looking at the picture, you see it. Do you buy all the hype? Do you think this is something, or do you think it's literally just, do you think there's more to this, or is it just Xbox is just, hey, Halo's a popular brand, let's just put a picture of Halo and we just want to advertise our Xbox? What do you guys make of this? Because the Halo community is dying of thirst. I mean, they are losing their ever-loving minds and reading heavily into this thing, and I don't know if I really feel any type of way about it.
I don't think it's anything, to be honest. Like, Halo is still Microsoft's baby with Xbox. It's one and the same in a lot of people's eyes still, even if they don't play Halo. There's that association. So it makes sense to just occasionally throw it out there. I don't think there's too much to read into.
Yeah. John?
It's just so random, You haven't talked about Halo in so long, and
that's where people are crossed. They're effed up in the head about it.
And it still is just like an image, right? Because game trailers dropped a huge, like a big epic trailer for Sea of Thieves on PS5, and I don't really remember ever seeing any trailer or commercial or anything for Sea of Thieves when it was coming out. It makes me very interested. I guess I haven't been seeing very much Xbox advertising. Like I'm not seeing it. I mean, I remember seeing the trailer for Titanfall like in movie theaters. Like it was playing during the commercials before the trailer started. What was it? Was it like Jump In? Was like the 360s, or maybe it was the Xbox One. Each generation kind of had like a 2-word slogan or something. And I mean, they went hard with advertising for 360 and Xbox One. But like this console, like, I don't know. I don't know if they even have much of an advertising budget.
It looks like I think their slogan has been "Power Your Dreams," and they're really leaning into the next gen, most powerful console and da 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 da. But again, it comes back to like, well, yeah, power your dreams, but
I mean, Halo would be the last thing I would be promoting and trying getting people to play. I mean, it is completely overrun with hackers right now.
Right. And there's like a lot of really great games. I mean, even though, say what you want about Starfield, you're not going to do Starfield on there, or yeah, it's just very interesting. The Halo thing is interesting, and that's why everyone's has their, their boxers in a wad, because they don't know what to make of it.
It's so weird. It's so weird that they're advertising Halo.
It's so weird, but it's also like it's not weird at all because it's Xbox. But why now? Why? And we should point out it does not say Halo Infinite. And I think that's a detail worth noting. The M, it says M for mature, and it says Halo, not Halo Infinite. I don't know. I want to believe that it's just nothing, but I'm like, why would they? This Series X, this console that I'm looking at, you play Halo Infinite on that thing. That's what you play it on.
I mean,
why would you not put Halo Infinite if you're trying to get like?
I think they're just advertising Halo the brand, because we have to remember it was like 2 weeks ago that the show wrapped. They're putting money still into the show. I know you don't like it, but the show exists, and that has to also be advertised. So you have multiple simultaneous projects that are all being supported under the same IP. So it does make sense to just have a generalized ad for Halo, the IP.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Well, who knows? I'm sure. Like, could you imagine being on that team and seeing all the discourse? How much fun they're having! Just like, wow, we just like threw together a cool Halo graphic and put an Xbox on it for the advertisement. People are going bananas.
But
it definitely speaks to where the Halo community is at, for sure. I do think that it's not nothing when the Halo community like immediately begins to speculate and hope and pray and think and like talk about it, because Halo is still that it can be that juggernaut IP, and it has a massive fan base. And it's just crazy that they can just post a pretty much pointless advertisement with no thought behind it, and everyone in the Halo community goes, "Whoa, hold on, what's this? What's this about? This is Halo. What do we? Is this? Does it mean something else?" Like getting that kind of reaction out of a fan base is pretty crazy for something so minimal. So there's fans are there, man. Fans are thirsty. Thirsty. All right. Well, anything else? Anything else you guys wanted to cover? Otherwise, we can switch gears a little bit, talk internal, bring people behind the curtain on
internal struggles.
Well, I don't know if I call them struggles. I'll just say internal pod talk. Figure out what's going on.
I was trying to see if I could find the last time I played a Halo game. So it looks like, I mean, it had to be Winter Wonderland. I don't think I've played since Winter Wonderland.
Wow. That was fun. I'm excited for the next one.
Almost 3.5 months. I haven't played a single game of Halo.
Yep. I played MCC a couple weeks ago. Pretty bad experience, to be honest. We don't need to get into it. Let's go internal. Henry, you down? You got anything else?
No, let's go.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, if you are a listener and you've heard some of our past episodes, our internal episodes, we've been kicking around a lot of ideas. We started this podcast as a general gaming podcast, and we've decided to narrow a bit more and talk specifically Xbox. And we've just been, pivoting and adapting and kind of just going with, just kind of going with the flow a little bit and trying to figure out what works and what we like and what we feel good about. And anyways, last couple weeks we started talking about the direction of the podcast and where we wanted to go with it. And I threw out the idea of doing a podcast that was basically a 3-4 guys talking about stupid stuff around fast food and dumb snacks that come out. And you would have seen this if you are like a listener from the beginning. There's been moments where we've talked about Oreos and the amount of stuffing they have, or just random little bits here and there, right, about just random, I don't know, snacks and opinions on Jack in the Box or whatever the case may be. And I kind of threw out to the guys, how do you guys feel about, maybe doing something a little different and switching it up and doing a silly podcast around those topics. And there's always because we've been talking about like the Taco Bell menu, right? And when they dropped the whole year of all the new menu items, and it's just a funny, stupid, silly conversation. But I think it is, if I'm going to be like real and honest, I think it's more entertaining than informative. And I think right now we're a little bit more informative than entertaining, right? That's kind of my take on it. And I think the content of video games or Xbox it lends itself to just being more informative, right? And I'm just processing out loud with you guys right here, but it's like, I think the content will just be a little bit better if it'll be a little bit more entertaining, because I think it's stupid and funny and entertaining when we're debating, who has a better chicken sandwich, Wendy's or Chick-fil-A, right? Me and Henry went on a text thread for like 30 minutes about why we think one is better than the other. And so it's like, it's silly, it's dumb, it's funny. And we I threw it out to the guys and got some thoughts, and we're not really settled on it one way or another, but yeah, I don't even know, I guess, what the question is. I've talked with John about it. Henry, I know you mentioned you're down a little bit. But I guess I know, John, you have, your schedule is such that, you just right now you don't have a ton of free time, you're not able to like, you're not able to commit super hard to doing something. And so I kind of had a couple ideas that, and I guess I'll just run them by you, and then I just will open it up to hear your guys' thoughts. I think that it would be fun to do that kind of podcast, and it would be under kind of the For the Win banner, right? Because I'm kind of building out basically you could call it media company that has different things, and so it would be still under that. And then For the Win podcast, I was thinking about it because I'm like, I still want to do gaming. And I was like, what if we did even if we did I'm just going to call it the fast food podcast to make it simple. We did the fast food podcast twice a month, let's say. And then once a month, we tried to do an interview under the, For the Win gaming podcast. Cause I still like doing interviews with people and gamers and doing that side of the podcast. Interviewing Marty was the highlight of a content creating career, that was so fun. And so maybe doing that once every couple months. And so so For the Win podcast right now would turn into hey, we're going to interview people when we can get them. We're not going to do rundowns and all this stuff, but we're going to do those. And we basically just try and get people. And then when we can get them, it'll be I'll text you guys and say, hey, this is the date and time that works for them. If you can hop on, awesome. If not, no worries. And we just try and run it that way. And then the fast food pod can be its separate thing, be it twice a month. I mean, we could do every week, or twice a month or whatever. I think consistency is the most important thing with any of this, but I don't know. I'm just dumping, and that's where my head's been at with everything. I still think that the a fast food thing, a podcast like that would be very silly and funny and fun to do. But I've just dumped on you guys. I've just taken a massive dump on you guys. So what are your guys' thoughts? Where's your head at? How does it sound? What are you thinking? The floor is completely open, and it goes without saying, I'm from the beginning, it's been, hey, I want this to work for you too, So if you're hey, I'm out completely as of tonight, just want to let you know I don't want to do anything anymore, you're not going to break my heart. Well, you'll break my heart, but you're not going to make me upset or anything like that. But what are your guys' thoughts?
I'm down to talk about silly foods.
Yeah.
I don't have any
Hot take.
scheduling conflicts. I haven't.
Yeah.
When Henry, do we know yet if there's any conflict of interest with your new job and having an Xbox podcast?
I looked through a lot of my documents. There was some stuff that sounded like it might be, but I'm not sure. So,
because my question is, one, if being specifically Microsoft Xbox branded podcast, or having that narrow niche would cause any conflicts with your new job, and if we needed to like re-broaden it to just a general gaming to where we're talking about Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch and PC, maybe that would be less of a issue, with your employer. Just a thought, but
Yeah.
So like my schedule, I really only have time to do, like one podcast. So, unless start making some big bucks off of this one, and I don't have to work as much at my day job, then this is kind of like my one time to do it. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the Xbox focus. I mean, that's just mostly what I play. I do a little PC gaming here and there, but like if I'm gonna sit down and play some video games at night, like I'm turning on my Xbox. So that's what I'm interested in. That's what I like listening to podcasts about, watching videos about. So that's always kind of been my lean. But yeah, that's where I'm at, I guess.
Yeah. You Henry, you mentioned when we first initially threw it out, and I guess maybe it would be good to hear more, because I do think it is important, like for the content. You were talking about how a lot of times you don't like love even talking about video games.
Yeah.
And we didn't like get like super elaborate into it, but I'm curious like where your head's at with that, because I know what you meant by that, but I'm curious if you could expand on it, because also like I think the content, I think like will suffer if, and this is why like the whole like stupid fast food thing, I was like, oh, this might be like a decent idea, because it's like, I don't know, there wasn't anything depressing about it. And sometimes, and I think Henry, you can elaborate on this, but sometimes we talk about things on here and it's like, it can be easy to fall back, right? Because we lived through such a great era of gaming. It can be easy, and we don't do it on purpose, and we try and avoid it, but to fall back into like, man, gaming like is good right now, but it also sucks in a lot of ways, and like it was so much better back then. I wish we could just, da 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 da. So I'm curious, Henry, like where you're at, and if you like truly are like, honestly, like I would kind of just rather not even talk about video games, even though obviously you play video games like every day and you like video games. Where's your like head at with all of that stuff?
It is, I think, a point of like almost like feels like a lot like burnout. Because like this isn't the only video game related thing. I don't know how to be a normal user of like message boards and stuff. I always finagle my way into like some sort of moderator or admin position. So I'm moderator on a lot of things, and I some of them are, it's babysitting thousands of man children sometimes. Some of them are like in the thousands of members that are active, and it's annoying. And as time has gone on, I feel less and less like engaging with a lot of gaming, a lot of gamers. Like I love video games. But even these like my own communities that I have like literally grown and fostered, I have growing tired of dealing with some of them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just burned me out from, and then you combine with like just the internet's so negative, dude. Like clips of like just dealing with people on like Twitter and on Reddit. Like I don't even go into any like subreddit about gaming anymore at all.
Yeah.
And I do on Twitter a little bit, but that also gets really stupid. And so I just don't care to like engage anymore. And since my opinion doesn't matter on anything,
Sure.
in the industry,
I like your opinions, Henry.
My opinion doesn't mean anything. So like,
yeah.
I'm annoyed at all these dudes just yelling their opinion to the void, and you know, at the same time, like I guess that's what I'm doing,
Right.
but I'm not like being obnoxious about it.
Well,
like,
and I'd love for you to enjoy yelling your opinion to the void. Like I know it's so dumb, but when we're like talking about this stupid stuff of Taco Bell and chicken sandwiches, like, yeah, we're yelling to the void, and it's absolutely trivial. Pointless. It means nothing in this life. We are just, you know, dust and echoes. But at the end of the day, like it's fun and it's funny.
I agree with you 100% because there's a lot of things I love about video games, but there's a lot of stuff I don't love about video games, right? And sometimes you can't even talk about what's going on in the video game world without having to mention the stuff that we don't like what's going on.
Right.
And so with something like trivial, where if you take it seriously, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's
yeah.
There, like, I know it got a little heated when we were talking about spicy chicken sandwiches the other day.
Oh, dude, he said Chick-fil-A was mid.
It is.
That's crazy.
It tastes...
No, wait. You said it was cafeteria food.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
It tastes like cafeteria food.
Chick-fil-A, dude, if I would have had Chick-fil-A...
they're consistent. I was like, yeah, they're consistent. They consistently taste like cafeteria food.
No, but if I would have had Chick-fil-A cafeteria food, I would be like 350 pounds right now because I would have eaten that every day because it's good.
I swear, like I remember the first we did when I was in the Air Force in Texas, we did a fundraiser and we got a bunch of Chick-fil-A and that was my first time having it because they weren't up here yet, right? So it wasn't until I moved to Texas that I tried this, and everyone's hyping it up. We had to drive to Dallas. That was 2 hours away from us. We drove 2 hours, and I get this mid sandwich with a pickle and mayonnaise, and I'm like, really? Oh, yo, it was a bunch of all the Southern guys. I'm like, oh, yo, this is. We drove 2 hours for this.
Give me a break.
And then,
that's brutal.
And then, like, when I was like, but you know what? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because they opened one where we lived, so I had it again, and it was okay. And then they open it up, the one over here, and just because there was only one in the damn state, the lines were through the whole thing. I was like, y'all are crazy.
Yeah, it's not worth waiting.
You're gonna wait in line like that for like cafeteria chicken sandwich? No, dude. Like, I'll meet
you halfway, and I'll just say it is not worth waiting in a super long line. Like, it is just I don't agree that it's cafeteria food, but it's just a good chicken sandwich. It's not the best I've ever.
You called Popeyes mid.
I know,
one people fight over. The one people gotten stabbed over.
That was
you
a
called
trend.
It mid.
That was a trend because it was new.
That was supply and demand. All right.
Yeah.
They couldn't supply the demand. People got mad. So mad, they'll stab each other over it. That's how good of a sandwich that is. And you called it mid.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Henry wholeheartedly.
Oh,
But,
God. Jeez.
like, I will
All
never
right.
voluntarily, like, go through Chick-fil-A ever. But my 3-year-old loves it.
Mm.
She's a big Chick-fil-A fan. So sometimes we do go there. But to kind of circle back to
Yeah, sorry, we got off track
Henry
there.
not liking to talk about video games.
Yeah.
My idea is, what if we take the video game podcast in like a little bit of a different direction and creatively, where instead of us sitting and talking about video games, what if we came up with some kind of features or challenges or something, and like the three of us play a game together and try and do something in a game, or try a new game, or co-op something, or play each other in something. Like, we could do a whole episode of me and David trying to beat Henry in some fighting game or something.
Dude, I would never
while we're
beat
like
him in any
talking
fighting
about
game.
whatever, so kind of taking that,
That's an idea.
actually let's play something and actually feature some gameplay footage or something like that. I'm just looking on I can't switch the camera right now, but like, I think I can
Your camera went
change
out.
the camera to just be like my Xbox screen, and you could record that.
Yeah, we could figure out how to. We could
I think
figure
I just
that out.
can't turn
Like,
off camera, but you can
basically
switch cameras.
record our
There we go.
gameplay and record our cameras and mics and stuff.
Right, because
But-
you could still record all the audio and everything, and then if there's a way to, but something like that or similar to that, where we could start it and we're all together sitting here, and then like, okay, we're gonna try and do this in a game. The first person to get a gold red deer or something, or something that,
or we could,
like that. And then
go ahead. Sorry.
We could have a couple things that interest us that we want to like cover while we're playing and doing stuff in game, but something like that. So like, we're actually playing and having some fun too while we're doing it. And I think being in game will allow for us to be more entertaining than just informative, because we're able to play off of what's happening.
That's a great thought. That's never honestly, it's never really crossed my mind to do something like that, but I do like that idea. I mean, even if we were, playing through Halo 3's campaign together and we're talking about it, like, we can talk about Halo 3 that episode. It doesn't even have to be gaming news, or we could add in like, hey, did you hear this? Did you hear this? If things get down, whatever. But I don't know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, Henry, on if that's something that would be more enjoyable, I guess, for you. Because I
could do something like that. It's just like dealing with like the gaming news and stuff is it's so hard to like fine tune like what to talk about. That's like actually like a heavy topic, right? It's hard to choose a good heavy topic, but also one that like we can like actually like really talk about, right? And so that becomes hard. But if it's just going to become something where we're just hanging out and like doing some kind of like gameplay while just talking, it would be a lot more organic. I know that like, I feel like it would fit more in line with your content you already put out. So it'd just be similar to what you do for your current content, but it'd be scheduled like a regular schedule, you know. So
Yeah, I'm just like looking at like the Bluey video game apparently has like 4-player co-op in it.
Yeah, I was just thinking Game Pass games, you know, like trying out Game Pass games
like
together.
I've been playing Back for Blood like since last night. I started playing through
And that's leaving Game Pass.
That's leaving Game Pass, you know, but I've been playing it, and I've been having a good time, and it's multiplayer. It's, you know, and that would have been cool to like hop on and mow down some zombies all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know from my perspective, you know, because I don't have a lot of time to play games, if I was able to roll that into recording
exactly
an episode of something, like that would be cool, kind of 2 birds with 1 stone.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, no, that'd be cool. I missed when we had we had a unofficial schedule of us playing Halo, all of us together for a while. You know,
Yeah.
We all knew it was at the same time and same days for a while. All of our schedules just linked up, and we were playing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think that's a really cool idea. I think logistically, we need to figure out kind of what that looks like and how that'll work and how we'll edit that together and all of those things.
Yeah, the editing is
but I'm
the ticket, I think.
Yeah, but I think I'm up to the task, and I kind of have a vision, you know, just from you talking, John, what that could look like, and it would
like,
be
let's try and get Henry to play Road to the Masters PGA Tour.
Yeah,
I know he's good at the old school golf games.
I installed that last night. It was between that and Back for Blood, and I was like, Back for Blood's leaving, so that's why I wanted. Not even exaggerating. So,
okay. Well, I actually, that's an idea that I had not considered at all. And yeah, I mean, we've been pivoting since day one, right? Like, we've been like going for it and trying different things, and
I gotta put together some area to stream with, I guess, or somehow, because like my Xbox is not in this room.
Because basically, I think what we would need to do is essentially, this platform might not even be the best. Zoom might even be better, but basically get a we got to sync it somehow. Get a clapper or something to make sure we're all on the same page. But we can figure that out. We don't need to get into all the details. I can put some thought into that and sort out how we do that. But I think it could be fun, and then we could also, like, you know, as we like keep building a community around the podcast, get people to be like, hey, what game should we play next? You know, and shoot us a title that you would love to see us like all 3 play. It's got to be multiplayer, you know. And then we can also,
or even if it is like a single player game, like racing to beat a certain boss, or, you know, we can do those kinds of challenges or something like that.
Yeah. That's true. We could all hop on Mario 64 and see who can beat the game first. No, I mean, it doesn't need to be a 2-hour podcast, but
hop on Starfield, and the first one to have fun wins.
That sounds like a personal problem, John. That's a skill
crazy.
Skill issue.
The first person to have fun wins.
You
This is crazy.
It is a skill issue. The screen's all red, and the door's opening,
We'll
waiting
see
for
you-
you to put a helmet
we'll
on,
see
and
you
you're
in
just
10
going,
hours.
why? Why won't the game let me out the airlock without my helmet on?
Oh, see you in 10 hours.
Oh man, that's nuts.
I'm seeing Fusion Frenzy on Game Pass. Does that have multiplayer?
I don't think it would
Online?
have online.
No.
Because it still just like loads up the original Fusion Frenzy, which was a launch title, so live wasn't out.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think there's system link on Fusion Frenzy, so we can't fudge it with like X-Link or anything else either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'm open to giving it a shot, and maybe that's the start of season 3. I'm just gonna keep in my head the fast food memes podcast. I definitely think there's like potential in that, and I still like doing guest interviews. I think that's one of the best ways to build the podcast as well. And so, yeah, I think we can keep kicking that around. Whether it's, I'm thinking of like, man, am I gonna have to find another night to record, or is there a better time? Do we want to bring someone else in to like do that? Lee loves talking about fast food. So I don't know. Questions, something we can still think about. But as far as for the win,
Yeah.
I think we can give that, I think we'll be having more fun. I mean, I'm still having fun. I don't want it to seem like this has been the last 37 episodes have been a drag. It hasn't been. We've had, it's been great getting together and talking.
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole thing too. It's like, when I was talking to you guys the other day, I was like, not that I don't like talking about video games with us, but it's just like sometimes the topics aren't stuff I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes that's because I'm just kind of burned out from talking for people in the gaming communities in general. So,
yeah.
Same reason I don't use my mic on Xbox a lot of times anymore.
Right.
So,
yeah. Okay. Well, I think that gives us something to think about, and I think maybe, maybe this week we kind of nail down some of the logistics, and we give it a shot next week, and maybe people can expect something a little bit different. We'll figure out what game we're going to play and have a little bit of a different podcast and just see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many games on Game Pass. You could choose just the most random things and just go in blind and
for sure. Okay, that's good. That's why I wanted to bring it to the group and see what you guys thought, 'cause that's a great idea, and I think it kind of answers Henry's problem a little bit. I think it answers your problem a little bit. I think it addresses kind of multiple things that we're pushing up against. So I'm down to try it, give it a shot, and just see how it goes. I don't know. Let us know if you made it this far in the podcast. If you're one of the rare 50 people who listen, let us know what you think about this idea. What game do you want us to play? Drop a comment, and we'll give it a shot. But all right, well, that was a good internal. Went a little longer than an hour, but it's all good. Anything else for the good of the pod? Otherwise, we're out of here. All right. Sounds good. 10:45 p.m. GG's, guys.
GG's.
GG's.